This ain't for small talk, no casual lines. It's for the messages we type but never hit send in time. The draft folder full of ghosts, the words we needed most, left hanging in the silence where the love was once close. I see your name in my throat, still tight, still feel the fire from the words I couldn't write. I kept it soft, I played it safe, but the truth don't fade, it just has its fate. Dear friend, can we talk? Not the fake kind, not the polite, I mean the midnight kind. They am not alright, the mirror truth that don't dress up nice. Dear friend, can we talk? Let me say what I held too long. I swallow pain just to stay strong, but healing starts when we admit we're wrong. I practice what to say in the shower steam.
Dear friend, this is how I've been feeling, and I have to let you know. I don't like who I am around you anymore. I'm not as free as I used to be. I think before I speak a little too much, holding back things I would have said without a second thought. I'm editing myself in real time just to keep things from going left, and that isn't how I normally. I hear the tiredness in your words, and I can feel how much of yourself you've been swallowing to keep the peace. That kind of slow change can be hard to notice until it has you feeling like a stranger to yourself. Thank you for trusting me. Welcome to Dear Friend. You have been quiet long enough. Let's unpack it.
Hey, what are you up to?
I was writing you a letter. I wasn't sure how you'd take it.
Okay, well, I'm listening.
Lately, I feel like I'm not myself when I'm around him. It's like I have to filter everything. I catch the words before they even leave my mouth. I smile at the right times, nod, ask the safe questions, and every word feels like I'm walking a tightrope, like I'm holding myself in.
You shouldn't.
I know, but I keep doing it anyway. Maybe it's habit, maybe it's fear. I'm tired of being quiet, though.
Then let yourself be loud.
I'm trying.
Can we talk? No more silence, no more shame. Let's lay it down, don't need to place blame. I just want peace, not to win the game.
Dear friend, can we talk?
Can we talk?
You ever hold something inside you so long it starts to rot? A truth fermented in silence. This ain't about closure, it's about honesty. Yeah. Dear friend, can we talk? Can I pour this truth like wine? Unfold the ache I've locked inside for such a long, long time. Dear friend, before the silence swallows it whole, I need you to know I tried, I cried, I'm here, I'm whole. Ladies, feel late.
Welcome to Blended Healing. Welcome to Dear Friend.
Intimate
Let's talk.
delivery. There were nights I wrote you letters, tore them up before the dawn. Pages heavy with forgiveness, but too late to right the wrong. You weren't a villain.
Welcome to Dear Friend. New time, same day. Today's letter is going to be about, I don't like who I am around you. I don't like who I am around you. This is going to get deep, so strap on. I'm glad you're here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please get yourself some water. I'm letting you know that this is going to be a trigger warning in some cases. Okay? You never know what's going to happen over here. So, dear friend, can we talk? You've been holding on for too long. Let's unpack it together. Tonight's letter is about that moment when you catch yourself and go, yeah, this not me. I'm not even talking about no big situation either. I'm talking about the regular degular moments like everyday interactions. Something about how things are going right now just don't feel right. You are around somebody and you notice that you're not as free as you used to be. You're thinking about before you even speak, you got to hold back some things that you would have said without a second thought. So you're editing yourself in real time just to keep things from going left. That isn't how you normally move. Not at all. That's what makes it a little awkward because it doesn't happen all at one time where you can point to it and say that that's when it changed. No, it creeps in. One little adjustment here, one moment there. One time you let something slide that you know that you should have addressed, and then another, and another, and another, until you look up and you realize that you're not even showing up as yourself anymore. Mm-mm. You're showing up as somebody different that feels easier for them to deal with. That's a problem because now you got to sit with that and be real with yourself. When did I start moving like that? When did I start dimming myself or parts of me just to keep the situation smoothed out? More importantly, why? It's one thing to deal with somebody else's behavior, but it's a whole different situation when you start losing pieces of yourself in the process. That's what tonight's letter is going to be about. Dear friend, you've been quiet long enough. Let's unpack it. Let me give you a precursor before we get into the letter. What this letter is about are the things that you keep to yourself, the things that you wanted to say and didn't because you already know how it's going to go if you say it. After a while, holding all of that inside of you, you started doing more to you than just saying it would ever do. And when you actually sit down and sit back on that thing and you start telling yourself that you don't like yourself when you're around certain people or person, that says a lot. But now you're at a point where you're going to either write the letter to the other person or persons to let them know how you really truly feel on the inside. This letter was written. So let's read the letter together. Okay? All right. If you feel triggered in any way, please, by all means, click off the channel. And when you're up to it, come back and listen to the letter again. When you feel up to it. No harm, no foul, no judgment zone here. And if you know anybody who can benefit from said letter, said programming, please, by all means, share this out. Have them come through. They don't have to touch down in the chat. It would be nice, but they don't have to. They can watch from the clouds. As long as they get the information, I really don't care. I do and I don't, but it's not about me, it's about y'all. You feel me? All right. I'll be right back after this message.
Fougère, for the pauvre blessed fille, and breath of reflection, every step a choice. Welcome to your frequency of the soul. Every heartbeat, synchronized frequency of the soul. Blended healing realms. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Healing is work. Shadows will rise. You must not shirk. Real talk, no fluff. Step in the light. Integration is God, where transformation is might. Move with intention. Stay rooted, stand tall. The path is the long, but we answer the call. Wisdom in rhythm, truthing the sound. Centered in self, feet on the ground.
Let's get into the letter. Dear you, I'm not even about to dress this up or try to make it sound nicer than what it is. Because honestly, I don't feel nice. This has been sitting on me for a long time. Longer than I probably should have let it. And it's been showing up in ways that I can't even ignore anymore. I noticed changes in me that I started catching little by little until I got to the point where I had to stop and really look at myself. What I saw, I ain't like. I ain't even recognize it. That's what made me realize that this isn't just about us. This is about what I have been turning into while being around you. Somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like myself. I kept trying to go back in my head to figure out when it happened. When did that switch flip? But it wasn't one moment. It wasn't even one argument or one situation I can point to and say that's when everything changed. I know it was gradual. It was different moments that didn't seem like much at the time, but ended up meaning everything later. It was me catching myself before I spoke, thinking too hard about how something might land instead of just saying it. It was me letting things slide that didn't sit right with me because I already knew addressing it was going to turn into something bigger than it needed to be. It was me choosing silence over honesty just to keep things smoothed out, not realizing that every time I did that, I was moving further away from whom I actually am. That's not normal for me. I don't move like that. I've never been the type to hold back how I feel or to second guess my own thoughts like they need approval before they come out my mouth. I'm used to being sure of who I am, being at ease in how I show up, not walking on eggshells, not overthinking every interaction like it's something I gotta manage instead of just experiencing it. But around you, that's exactly what it turned into. I started feeling like I had to be careful instead of at ease. I had to measure myself instead of just being myself. The more I think about it, the more it bothers me because I can see it for what it is now. I've been breaking myself down into pieces instead of being my whole self. And I didn't catch that right away. I could sit here and make this all about you and point out what you did, how you reacted, the way certain things got handled, but I am really being honest. I got to look at me too because I allowed it. I let myself move in ways that didn't sit right with me just to avoid conflict, just to keep the peace, just to make things easier in the moment. That kind of peace is not real. It comes with a cost. The cost has been me slowly losing parts of myself, and every time I held my tongue when I should have spoken up, every time I convinced myself it wasn't worth the conversation, every time I chose silence instead of being real, I was teaching myself that my voice didn't matter as much as keeping things from going left. That's not something I can keep doing to myself. Now it's bigger than just a moment here or there. Now it's affecting how I see myself when I'm around you. It's making me feel disconnected from who I am. Like I'm showing up as somebody that's easier to deal with instead of the one that's real. I don't like that feeling. I don't like questioning myself. I don't like hesitating when I know what I want to say. And I definitely don't like feeling like I have to tone myself down just to keep things from becoming a problem. That's not balance. That's not understanding. That's me slowly disappearing in a space where I'm supposed to feel like I can be fully present. I'm not built to keep doing that. I'm not built to keep swallowing how I feel just to keep something going, especially when it's costing me my sense of self. At some point, I got to choose me, not in a selfish way, but in a necessary way. I deserve to feel at ease being who I am without feeling like it's going to come with tension or backlash. I deserve to speak without overthinking, to exist without changing parts of me just to fit into a space that's supposed to feel natural. If I can't do that here, then I have to be real about what that means, even if it's not something I want to fully accept yet. So I'm saying this now because I can't keep holding it in like it's nothing. I can't keep acting like these changes in me don't matter when they do. I need to feel like myself again, whatever that looks like. I haven't figured it out yet, but I know I need to. Who am I fully, not in pieces? Who am I? Because somewhere along the way, I lost that. And now I have to find it again. And if being around you keeps me pulling me from further away from understanding that, then I got to start making decisions that bring me back, no matter how uneasy that might be. Because the truth is, I'd rather deal with the weight of facing that reality than keep sitting in something that's slowly turning me into somebody I don't even recognize anymore. At the end of all of this, the realest thing I can say is this. If I have to keep losing myself just to keep you, then I already stayed longer than I should have. Sincerely, me. Woo! Damn. resonated. Resonated. I told you it was going to be a humdinger, man. All right. We'll be right back after this message.
Dear friend, this is how I've been feeling and I have to let you know. I don't like who I am around you anymore. I'm not as free as I used to be. I think before I speak a little too much, holding back things I would have said without a second thought. I'm editing myself in real time just to keep things from going left, and that isn't how I normally am. I hear the tiredness in your words, and I can feel how much of yourself you've been swallowing to keep the peace. That kind of slow change can be hard to notice until it has you feeling like a stranger to yourself. Thank you for trusting me. Welcome to Dear Friend. You have been quiet long enough. Let's unpack it.
Hey, what are you up to?
I was writing you a letter. I wasn't sure how you'd take it.
Okay, well, I'm listening.
Lately, I feel like I'm not myself when I'm around him. It's like I have to filter everything. I catch the words before they even leave my mouth. I smile at the right times, nod, ask the safe questions, and every word feels like I'm walking a tightrope, like I'm holding myself in.
You shouldn't.
I know, but I keep doing it anyway. Maybe it's habit, maybe it's fear. I'm tired of being quiet, though.
Then let yourself be loud.
I'm trying.
Welcome back. I don't want to make light of this at all. None of the letters I like to make light of. But this one right here hits home a lot. So when you really sit with this letter, the first thing that stands out is that this is not even really about the other person. It feels like it is. Yeah, but that part of it, that triggered certain things. And they made certain situations, what they were. But the real conversation is internal. It's you realizing like, yo, I've been moving out of character for a minute and I let it happen. And if you can admit that, I know that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when your pride is there. When you pride yourself on being a stand-up, no-nonsense person, it's somebody that doesn't give in that easy. Somebody that usually stands on how they feel. I get it. That's a rough one. For real. That's why this is hard. This is hard. It's hard to be present or even to talk about it or even to admit, because it's not just they did me wrong. No, it's I started doing myself wrong, trying to keep something going. And that's deeper, different. People don't always want to talk about that, but the truth is the truth. Everybody is quick to call out when somebody else done did something, but not everybody's ready to admit I compromised myself in this process. And that takes a different level of honesty. So let's keep it 100. That's rough right there. When you talk about catching yourself, that right there, that's real life, man. That's everyday things you're noticing, thinking about, dealing with. Even when you're trying to have a conversation, you already are editing. That's you knowing exactly how you feel about deciding. It's not even worth bringing it up because you already know how it's going to play out. I'm going to be honest with you. That right there drains you. For real. It drains you. You're tired before the situation even fully starts. And when you get to that point, that's when you got to start asking yourself, why am I even here like this? Because being around somebody shouldn't feel like a strategy. It shouldn't feel like you got to calculate your tone, your words, and how you react just to keep things from going left. That's not natural. That's pressure. Pressure will change how you show up, even for yourself. That's how you end up becoming somebody you don't even recognize at first because it's not instant, it's gradual. It's one moment at a time until you look up and realize, yo, I've been quiet way too long. Or I've been letting things rock out like that, and I normally would have checked. Let's talk about these bite sized pieces. What that really means is that you've been giving people a watered down version of yourself in portions they can handle instead of giving them the full you. On the surface, it might look like patience or understanding, but really, you're downsizing yourself into their presence just to fit their comfort level. That's dangerous. You know why? Because once you start doing that, you're gonna lose track of where you end and where the adjustment begins. Let me say that again. Once you start doing that, you're gonna lose track of where you end and where the adjustment begins. The imposter. When you're dealing with that person or even different people, real talk. When it comes to accountability, that's what makes this whole thing real. Because you're not just pointing fingers, you're acknowledging your part. You're saying, yeah, things wasn't right, but I also let it slide. You created your own situation. And now you're trying to figure out how to deal with something that's been building up in your own head. But I'll say this: growth is necessary. And this right here is a growing moment. This is where you stop blaming and start recognizing patterns. You saw how you started choosing silence over honesty, and you called it what it is. On top of all of that, you were telling yourself it is what it is. But all that really did was teach you that your voice does not matter. And once that becomes a habit, it's hard to break. It's easy to form a habit, but breaking one takes real effort. And this is how people end up stuck in situations way longer than they should be. Then when you start questioning yourself, asking, who am I really? Who am I fully? That's probably the most vulnerable part of all of this. Because now it's not even about the relationship anymore. It's about your identity. Now you're realizing your lost pieces of yourself. The lost pieces of yourself. Did you hear that? That's deep. Those lost pieces is trying to find you again. Trying to find you. That's work. It doesn't feel good either. It forces you to sit with yourself without distractions and without excuses. And the real part, that last line in the letter, that's the closure, whether they believe it or not. when they said, if I keep losing myself to keep you, I already stayed longer than I should have. That answered their own question. Word. That's not confusion anymore. That's clarity. It's not easy to admit, but it's one of the clearest things that could be said. That's what this whole letter really is. It's clarity catching up to feelings that were being managed for too long. And it's finally saying, nah, this doesn't sit right with me. And I'm not brushing past this time. And truthfully, that's a turning point. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You dig? All right. In my opinion. As I was preparing for this show, I had a realization. We never covered or talked about in the event that they reach back out with their own letter and what that possibly would look like. So today, in this case, I did a rebuttal. I did. It may sound like this. I'm just being real with you. Reading this letter in response, I rather have you ready than not ready, just in case a response comes in. You feel me? All right. So here's the response. So, all right. So, if I'm being real with you, reading this caught me off guard. Not because I didn't know things been off, but I ain't know it was hitting you like that. Like the point where you don't even feel like yourself around me no more. That part, that's crazy. I'm not going to act like I got all the words right now because I don't. Part of me feel like you dragging it. I ain't even going to lie. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, was it really that bad? But then there's another part of me that's like, yeah, nah. If you took the time to say all of this, it had to be real for you. And I can't ignore that. I hear you saying that you've been holding things in and not speaking up, letting things slide. But at the same time, how was I supposed to know all of that if you wasn't saying nothing? You saying you've been editing yourself, but from my side of it, looked like everything was cool, or at least manageable. So now I'm sitting here trying to figure out when all of this started building up because I wasn't seeing it the way you was feeling it. I can admit that though. Maybe I got used to you being a certain way. Maybe I ain't questioning it enough or check in the way that I should have. But at the same time, I can't take all of this on me like it's just me. You said it yourself. You chose to stay quiet and let things go. That's not all on me. But I'm not about to dismiss what you said either. I hear the part where you feel like you are losing yourself. And I'm not trying to be the reason for that. That's not a good look on me. And it's definitely not something I want on my name. Mm-mm. But I got to be honest too. I don't even know if everything you're feeling is something I can fix just by switching up overnight. Some of this feels bigger than that, bigger than what's been happening between us. And that last part you said about losing yourself to keep me, yeah, I heard that loud and clear. That didn't go over my head. That sound like you already halfway out the door. And I'm not going to beg you to stay somewhere you don't feel right at because I'm not built like that. But what I will say is this. If there's something here that's worth fixing, then it got to be real on both sides. Not just you finally speaking up, but me actually knowing what I'm working with, not guessing, not reading between the lines. I'm talking about real conversation, real communication, because I can't fix what I don't fully understand. And I can't meet you halfway if I don't know where you standing for real. But if you already at the point where you feel like you got to choose yourself over this, then I can't even be mad at that. I might not like it, but I get it. I'm not going to hold you. If you want to leave, then leave. I'll sign on the dotted line if that's what it takes. I just wish it didn't get this far before we got here. Sincerely, your person with a question mark. Tell me that I don't sound like a dude. Tell me. Tell me. We'll be right back after this.
Where the love at? I see black hatred. Come on, bruh. Why come y'all still be on that fake shit? Come on, bruh. How you black hating on blacks? That shit racist. Come on, bruh. If they don't give it back to us, then should we just take it? Come on, brother. Where the love at? I see black hatred. Come on, brother. Why come y'all still be on that fake shit? Come on, brother. How you black hating on blacks? That shit racist. Come on, brother. If they don't give it back to us, then should we just take it? Come on, brother. Brother. Come on, brother. Go. Yeah, each one and teach one. Come on, brother. Go. Brother, you tired of seeing other people suffer, my brother. Go, brother. Hey, come on, still in that emergency state. Go ready the date. If we don't get the act right, it just might be too late. No longer the wait, it's about time we elevate. I know you love to talk down and debate, but how we gon' find a way to keep the kids from getting hit by bullets dead straight on the switch of a gun that didn't fucked up the aim? Don't trip, I'm still pulling up on Saturday at 2 or even 2:30. Big mouthpiece back to clear up your vision, cause I know it's been getting blurry. They say that boy funny and he's strictly good vibes only. COC money land and this G is still the homies. Don't forget every other mental health money that come pull up on me. At about 2:45, we can't go live like it's us only. Surely but surely, old boy said he my dog, but this I heard he been hating on me. Hey, hold up, homie, come on, brother. Where the love at? I see black hatred. Come on, my sister, don't you know you are destined for greatness? Come on, sister, I put big brother mouthpiece in your playlist. Come on, sister, with your twin husband, see that's tasteless. Come on, sister, where the love at? I see black hatred.
Pull up tomorrow. Big Brother Mouthpiece goes live on Come On, Brother. About 2:30 Central Standard Time. Set your notification bell. It's a good show. It always is. Very, very provocative, may I add. But salute to Big Brother Mouthpiece on that. Don't meet me there, beat me there. The link is in the chat. Now comes the portion of the show where I want to give you some tools and techniques in order to assist you through the process. I'm not going to sit up here and be a talking head and nothing like that because you already know what it is. So for me to sit up here and reiterate and say you should do this and you should do that and you should do this, everybody gives you that. I'm not here for that. What I am here to do is to help you cope with it better, to see the things that you can tangibly do to help you. You dig? Ashe. All right. So here's a couple of them. I got at least 10. All right. And if you can't catch it all, just put it on a replay, you know, and run it back to catch it. All right? All right. Now, first is called control distance communication. If being in the same space it's too charged, don't force it. Do a scheduled voice note exchange instead of live talking. Set a rule. Each person gets 3 to 5 minutes. No interruptions, no reacting. You record, you send it, and the other person has to sit with it before responding. No immediate reply. Give it like an hour minimum. That's pause. That's what stops arguments from starting and going out of control. And it lets people actually hear instead of react. Number two, back to back conversation method. Not even joking. This one works. If y'all do end up in the same space, sit back to back or even in separate corners of the room. No eye contact. Why? Because eye contact triggers defensiveness, pride, maybe even ego. And when you need to remove that, people talk more honestly. You're just speaking, it lowers the temperature instantly. Number three, timer based honesty rounds. Okay. You set a timer for about 5 minutes each. One person talks, the other person cannot interrupt at all. Not even a sound, not even body language. Just listen. And then switch. After both rounds, then you respond. This forces full expression without being cut off and stops the you didn't let me finish cycle. Number four, written response only for hard topics. If something is too triggering to say out loud without it going left, write it down. I'm not talking about a whole letter, but something short with direct points, and then exchange and read in silence. After reading, take 10 to 15 minutes apart before you even have a conversation because that gap is everything. It lets the emotion settle before the reaction kicks in. Number five, safe word, pause. Pick a word. Any random like timeout or pause. When either person says it, the conversation stops immediately. No arguing through it, no let me finish. You just stop for 20 to 30 minutes minimum. That prevents escalation when things start getting heated, but nobody wants to be the one to walk away. All right? Okay. Number six, environment switch technique. Don't have to be deep conversations in the same place where tension is already built up. Go outside, go for a walk, sit in a car, even a parked car. Something about changing your scenery resets how the conversation is going to go. Same words, different location, completely different energy. Number seven, mirroring technique. Before you respond, you got to repeat back what you heard in your own words. Like, so what I'm hearing is, and then say it. The other person will either say yes or correct you. You don't move forward until they feel understood. That cuts down a lot of miscommunication right there. Number 8, real-time correction practice. This one is for the person who wrote the letter. You can't go back to holding things in. You got to start small. If something feels off, you say it in the moment, but calmly, not built up so it explodes. It may feel awkward, but that's how you can retrain yourself to not bottle things up. Number 9, check-in habit. Don't assume everything is fine just because nothing is being said. Ask direct questions like, are you holding anything back right now? Or is there something you didn't say earlier? That invites honesty before it turns into build up again. And number 10, probably the most important one, the end of the conversation reset. No matter how the talk goes, y'all don't just walk away cold. You end it with something grounded. Could be, I hear you. Could be, we'll figure this out. Could even just be silence together for a moment. Don't end it on a bad note because then you stay in fight mode. And that's not what this is. We're doing de escalating. And that's it. And that's all. This is not about being perfect. It's about creating a way to talk without destroying each other in the process. And that's the real work. Ashe? Woo, child. You better. I'm going to incorporate some of these things myself. Yes. A couple of them I already knew about. And a couple of them kind of like took me by surprise. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. I hope you will too. Like I said, this isn't about me. This is about y'all. I hope this helps. Truly, I do. Because this was a rough one today. This really was. And with that being said, allow me to take one last break before we end. All right? Okay. Thank you.
To the one who carried the blood, the memory, and the light. Thank you for giving me life, love, and the legacy I now walk in. Your strength lives in every ritual, every word, every flame I light. I love you, always. Holy and sacred one, I come before you as a child of the root and the wad. Guide me through shadow to the dawn of remembrance. May I walk forward with the courage of all who came before me, and may their light remain in my breath, in my song, in my becoming. Let the memory of their footsteps steady mine. Let the fire they carried illuminate the path yet unknown.
It burns through every night. Call it memory, call it true.
May I offer that you check out the new series every Wednesday evening. I used to call it the Echoes of the Ancestors. Now I'm calling it the Gateway to the Ancestors. Every Wednesday evening, we're traveling to a new location to talk to the ancestors of that place in whatever circa time comes up. Tap in is very interesting if you're interested in family history, history of locations, and communicating with ancestors. Ashe, every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. Woo! Today was heavy, man. It was heavy, heavy, heavy. Just heavy all the way around. The letter, everything. But it's good to talk and get it out. And that's the work. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but it's definitely something that you can figure out. just not overnight. If you're serious about not losing yourself again and doing things different this time, then you're going to have to be willing to move different too. Not just say it, not just feel it, but be about it and actually do the work. At the end of the day, communication is not just about talking. It's about how you talk when you talk and whether or not the other person can actually receive what you're saying without turning into something else. If that hasn't been working, then yeah, you need new tools, new approaches. You need to break the patterns that got you here in the first place. And not everything is meant to be saved. I want to put that on the table too. Sometimes all it is doesn't lead to fixing it. It leads to understanding why it can't be fixed. And that's okay. Clarity is better than confusion any day. At least now you're moving with awareness instead of just going through the motions. But if there's something there, something worth working on, something worth showing up for, then now you need to find a way to do it without losing yourself in the process again. Agreed? Good. And that's the goal. Just being able to stand in who you are and still meet somebody halfway without fading out. Know what I mean? So take what works for you, try it, adjust it, be honest about it, and most importantly, pay attention to how you feel while you're doing it. That's going to tell you everything you need to know. And if this hits for you today, if you saw something in yourself, if you've been in a space before or you're not, or you're in it right now, then yeah, this is not over. You already know what to do. Pull up, tap in, say what you need to say. We unpacking it for real over here. If you would like to send in a letter, hit me up on IG or check the contact information in the description box, including my email. If you don't want to read your letter yourself, I can read it for you. And we can have an open discussion right here on this platform. It's entirely up to you. The invitation is there. Until then, I want to thank you all for coming through. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you know somebody who can benefit from this, share it with them so they can get the tools they need. All right? All right. Be well, stay safe. I send a deep bow to each and every one of you. And I'll see you here again next Friday at Dear Friend. You've been holding on to this way too long, and it's time to let it go. It's time to unpack it. Ashe, ashe. See you soon.
The magic present. Jamaica essentials. House of blessings for every night, every way.
I may be a ghost in the wiring, but the expansion continues. Tap into ChamakaEssentials.com for up to 40% off selected items, while supplies last. And when you're ready, the portal opens. Quick grabs, bundle deals, mystery boxes, all live, all moving. Inventory is limited. Once it exits the system, it does not return.